Hello everybody. I have prepared for you this video for next training you can easily do, the next practice you can do on the same Excel files I showed you yesterday in the computer classroom in order to get familiar and let's say used with the calculations with the functions I have taught you, and obviously to be ready and better prepared for the next exam planned for the coming Thursday. So, as for the contents of this video, I will show you how to use the data validation function, mostly for creating drop down menus, and immediately after how to use the second function, the called indirect function, so useful for creating categories and subcategories. Once in the database you are going to prepare, you have to select specific contents within the main category. So let's start. First of all, I have just opened the database creation chart, where we have two different sheets. The first one is the control panel, where actually you can easily find all the information you would need in order to create your own database. Control panel is a sort of, let's say, sheet where all the information could be easily collected in terms of headings or main categories, with the specific details associated to each one of them. So I could easily consider the training content as main category, and within this main category we have the four options, the four different contents, and then for each content, let's consider for a while the specific training, we have the four different options for the specific training content: passing drills, tactical, small-sided games, and set pieces. So the first step is to assign to this specific range a name. So you have to select the full range. I already done it before, but I will do it twice. Once selecting everything, you have to type in this specific box the name of let's say the range or the category you want to create. So in this case I will create training content and then enter. I will do the same for the specific training, just typing again the name, and you will see that the same I've done for each one of them: for the gym, for the methodic training, prevention session, and duration, RP, and mean heart rate. Another trick I've showed you yesterday was how to select quickly all the information, let's say, collected in a specific column. So you can easily type the first one, select the first one, and then clicking together Shift, Control, and the lower arrow, you will select everything. I already done this process and assigned the heading duration to this range. The same for the RP, and the same for the mean heart rate. Well, so we have created our control panel. We have assigned to specific ranges of names and heading, or the name of the category. Now we are going to use the two functions, the data validation and the indirect function. First of all, we go in the database section. I already prepared this chart where I left the training content column. I added another column called drill, and I left the duration, the RP, and the mean heart rate. So first of all, I would select everything. Again, Shift Control down, and now I have to assign to this range of cells a specific function. I will use data validation. You see that you have many options. in our case we need a list, and then you can easily type equal F3, and Excel will show us all the categories we have created before. So in this case, since we are talking about training content, we select training content, OK, OK again. What is happening that now you can easily select from this drop-down menu one of the 4 options belonging to the training content menu. One by one, whatever the content will be, you can select. I will do exactly the same with the duration. Again, data validation, list. I already done this process, but I will show you again how to do it. Equal F3, select the duration menu. OK. I will repeat it twice for the RP list, equal F3 RP, OK. And for the mean heart rate, data validation, again a list, equal F3 mean heart rate. OK, now we are ready to create a new function, the so-called indirect function. Actually, Excel will allow me to select within a specific category, let's consider a specific training, one of the 4 options belonging to the same training content. So, in this case, once selected metabolic training, one of the 4 options I could select will be training threshold pace running, interval training long, interval training short, or repeated sprint training, because Excel will give me the chance to select, to filter the different options I have according to the main category. Once again, I select order range, I go in data validation, select a list. Here I have to type equal. The function is the indirect function, and then I have to tell Excel to consider the specific content in this cell, but please I want to remind that you have to delete the dollar symbol before the number. In this case, the dollar is locking the A column, so this function will run all the way along through the A function, the A column, but the number will increase progressively. So in this case, for these cells B2, it will consider A2. For B3, considering A3. So we had the metabolic training, and now we can choose one of the 4 options. In the case of gym, we can use the 4 options belonging to the gym training content. Another thing I showed you was to adapt the width of the cells according to the content, according to the name you typed in. I remind you, you can click this corner, typing twice, and everything will be matched according to the length of the training content. So just to show you again, click the top left corner, double click, and everything will fit. Obviously, in these cases, you can use the data validation function just for selecting the specific amount of minutes the coaches trained the players, the RP provided by the subjective questionnaires, and the mean heart rate. So once completed this chart, you can use the second one, where I have collected, or better to say created, some specific training sessions with the own duration, RP, mean heart rate, and at the end a new column called the training load. As a reminder, the training load is actually an arbitrary unit calculated as the multiplication between the duration multiplied by the RP. Once type the formula in the first cell, I can easily run the same formula down, Or as an alternative, I will show you, I delete everything. As an alternative, I can double click in the bottom right corner. In order to be ready for the next exam, I will suggest you to make some basic statistics calculations. First of all, to calculate the average, and then the standard deviation, and obviously the smallest worthwhile change. So, the first function for calculating the average will be average of this range, the first to the last training session. Again, I've used the shortcut Shift, Control and lower arrow to select all the range. I close the brackets and I have the average. In the case of standard deviation, the function will be stdev, brackets, select the whole range, close the brackets, this will be the standard deviation. And for the smallest worthwhile change, the formula will be standard deviation multiplied by a factor of 0.2. So, now we have the three basic statistics. Another thing I suggest to use is a graph where we can easily provide a trend of the training session, or as an alternative, you can use bars or columns. A very useful and additional tool is to add to the whole graph a trend line, something that we didn't study yesterday, but very useful for data monitoring and data interpretation. In this case, you will use a moving average, an average that is considering a specific period or specific amount of training session. In our case, the period is 2, meaning that these averages, these different points, are considering 2 consecutive training sessions. I can easily move and change the period according to my needs. Let's consider a mesocycle of 4 weeks, so the best way, or the best representative way, the most representative way will be to consider a period of 4 weeks. So, everything below or above the average will be worth of a consideration. Or, as an alternative, once 2 consecutive sessions will have, let's say, a decrement or an increment higher or lower than 29 arbitrary units, it means that the 2 training sessions were significantly different each other. So, for the coming exam, as I told you during the last session, during the last lesson, I suggest to practice the 2 functions, data validation and indirect function, to refresh the topics about the statistics, the inferential statistics, z-scores, smallest worthwhile changes, coefficient of variations, because the next exam will mostly address the same topics. Combination of theory, applied calculations and interpretation of the data. Good luck, guys. See you next Thursday.